Sit over here. Hello,
All
hello,
right.
hello.
Hello.
You are always taller than I am. I know. You probably are in
You know
real
what?
life too.
I even changed. I've been sitting at my kitchen table, Mike, and tonight I'm actually sitting at my coffee table in front of my sofa. I am 6'4", so I don't know how tall
Oh
you are.
shit! I'm not 6'4". That's for damn sure. You said right. That'd be the perfect weight if I was 6'4".
We all be the perfect weight at 6'4", trust me. Yeah. At any rate, welcome everybody in tonight. Good to see everybody. Good to hear everyone. Hopefully your week's going pretty well. Um, and maybe we'll give it a minute here to kind of roll into things. But we thought we'd bring on our first guest this evening. I guess rather than that guest being a person, we're actually shooting after a particular place, or what I consider to be a really big character in the movie Jaws, and that's Martha's Vineyard. So, Mike, what's your background in Martha's Vineyard? When was the first time you were there?
I was born there. I'm an Islander. No, I'm not. First time I was there was 2005 for the first Jaws Fest. It was a great time. I found out about it late, but it paid off because I lucked my way into renting the loft of the cabin that Steven Spielberg lived in during production.
Oh, the old log cabin?
Yeah.
No kidding.
There it is. If you can see it.
Holy cow. That's impressive.
That's our group. We had people from England, Australia, California, New Hampshire. Yeah, we stayed there. We had a big barbecue. We became the house to party at once people found out where we were staying and the significance of where we were staying. We were the party house. We were like part of the tour. And a couple years later, they actually somebody bought the land, tore it down, and built a monstrosity of a house on that land. But Dana Goudreau, good friend of mine, went over to the island and got a log from the cabin, and then sent everybody a piece of it.
No kidding. That's incredible.
A piece of the log cabin from Spielberg's cabin, as we call it, at Martha's Vineyard, and the great stories. Carl Gottlieb came by, and in the corner of the living room and dining room combination, there was a little writing desk, and Carl looked at it, and Carl said, "That's the same desk. That's where my typewriter sat. That's where I typed the script." And so for the rest of the weekend, we were all trying to figure out how we were going to steal that. And then where I stayed, I had the loft where Ricky Fields, Vernon Fields' son, lived. So it was nice. The next year, a couple other people rented it, Jim Gillette and Andrea and a few others. And then the next year it was gone. So it was nice. It was nice. You can still go to the property and you can look up. The cabin's famous. It was in I can't remember the name of the magazine, like Architectural Digest or something in the 30s. But it was a fun experience, and showering in Spielberg's shower, going. Spielberg did this, or yeah. It was a cool experience. That was my first time. That was Jaws Fest 2006. 40 of us rented a 5-house compound, and we called it No Fest, highlighted by my bringing a 60 millimeter copy of Jaws and showing it to everybody. We were going to do it at the pool, but it rained that night, so we did it inside. And I love the fact that a lot of the people there had only seen Jaws on home video, and they noticed the subtlety, the difference in the colors on film as opposed to being transferred to video. 2007, we did Rest Fest, where I proposed to my wife. Went back in 2011 for the book release party for Matt Taylor's Memories from Martha's Vineyard book. Also where Lou Pisano and I got convinced to do the Jaws 2 book. Back there in 2012 for the second Jaws Fest, which was horrible. Less said about that, the better. And then we went there in September of 21. So, yeah. So 5 times, 6 times.
Wow, definitely been there quite a few. I was a very late bloomer to Martha's Vineyard. First time we went was totally on a whim. My son was, I don't know, middle school perhaps, maybe 2017. And he finished doing American history in school. And, we're trying to come up with an idea to go on vacation. And he said, "Hey, Dad, I'd really, love to go up and see some things dated back to early American history." In colonial America and colonial imperialism here in the States, to be honest with you, has always been a favorite subject of mine, way more than like Civil War, World War II. And so we did a road trip, and we went up through, we hit parts of like Rhode Island, Connecticut. And of course, we spent a good amount of time in and around Mass. We went to, on top of going to Boston, we were in Braintree. We kicked around, Salem, way beyond just like, the basic witch things. And on a whim, I said, "Hey, I know that Jaws was filmed in Martha's Vineyard. How cool would it be to hop the ferry and just get over to the island where it was filmed?" I've heard many things about it. And so we all agreed to doing it. And I actually talked everyone into going over and staying a night because we were going to have to pay to ferry my truck over there. And so we did that. And that was about 2/3 of the way through the trip, maybe 3/4. We were going to do a night there, come back. And then honestly, we were working our way back down from Mass to Pennsylvania, which is where I live. And that was the height of the trip. The three of us, my wife, my son, and I, literally fell in love with the island. We were there for, like I said, basically like a day and a half. Could not get enough of it, and decided after we left there and headed back, we had one more night. We stayed over in Connecticut. How badly we wanted to go back and visit just Martha's Vineyard, and so the following year we went on vacation and we took a gamble and said, "You know what? We're just going to do a week in Martha's Vineyard." And my wife and I, my son, maybe not as much, my wife, completely have fallen in love with the place. And we've been back, I don't know, 3 other times since then. And last time we went for 2 weeks, and just absolutely amazing. Love the place. Can't get enough of it.
Yeah, my wife loves it. My son loves it. He goes, he doesn't do the Jaws stuff. He goes and he plays Frisbee golf and all the other stuff. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And I've always said, I've always likened it. It's like if you were a Star Trek fan and you got to go on the Enterprise, because Martha's Vineyard is the Enterprise of Jaws. The familiar locations, stuff you'll see, you go, "Oh God, that was right here. That looks familiar." Yeah. So.
Yeah, very cool. That's before we jump into too many things, starting to get a whole bunch of comments filtering through. So
I'm seeing them.
Looks like we got Sonia. Sonia's visiting us from Australia. Very good to hear from her again.
Yes.
Of course, Vic. Vic is definitely on, saying hello to us and seeing how everyone is doing. Very cool. Always have a couple repeat offenders. So
yeah, I think Victor popped on. Victor's mad because I got to see a fest. Actually, I got to see 2 fests. And Victor goes 3 times in 2 years and sees nothing. Well, 2025.
Very cool. Yeah. Looks like we got Milos in here too.
Yeah. And even if nothing official happens, and I'll talk about that later, because I was talking to the Chamber of Commerce yesterday, we'll do something. Trust me. I think between us and Amity Jaws Group and Jaws Paradise and the Daily Jaws, I think you and I and our groups, we could bring 500 people to that island easily.
Oh my gosh.
That's underestimating it. And,
honestly, that's my game plan.
Hey, Milos. And a quick aside, and Don is here, 100 Square Miles. Speaking of American history, Donna's family, I believe, I know she's part of the Daughters of the American Revolution, but I believe her family came over on the Mayflower. So there's
No kidding.
there's your history when you're there. You want to talk history? Talk to Donna.
Yeah, Donna's incredible. I was there last time we were there. I finally figured we, coerce somewhat back and forth. Finally, be nice to meet her and met Donna. Jen and I went on a tour with her, and yet extremely knowledgeable. I mean, we did a tour of the island, and to be honest with you, I probably have seen a good bit of the Jaws things. I was really interested in some of the other historical value of the island that she covered, from smuggling to like colonialism to the Underground Railroad, Native Americans. It's really, really fascinating, and it's good that she's on tonight because, well, she's probably going to keep me straight when it comes to my facts tonight for filming.
Rogers Vineyard, come for Jaws, stay for the knowledge. That's right.
That's exactly right. So I think we're getting some feedback here from her as well.
That should be their slogan.
Yes, absolutely. Well, all right, guys. So what we thought we'd do tonight is we would showcase Martha's Vineyard. Since we're always talking about Jaws, we're always talking about Amity. Why not take it back home to where it all comes from? And so I try to throw together some pictures to kind of lead us through, and maybe a little bit of interactive map. Just to not confuse anyone, I'm not going to run through this scene by scene for the movie. I'm actually going to go through this from town to town. So kind of makes sense. If you've been there, you kind of understand where you start and how you network your way around the island. So let me add us in here and get us started. So again, tonight's guest, and I'm saying that the Vineyard is tonight's guest because, to be honest with you, I look at the island as much more than just the setting for the movie. I truly think it takes on its own character and really builds a lot of what we see. From scene to scene, setting the tones, some of the more grim and dreary, parts that you see if you've ever been there during a storm, you know what I mean, as opposed to, the summertime and the families visiting, everything else. It really, really goes beyond just being the setting. So looks like you got a couple more chiming in here. Sorry, I'm trying to bump you guys across. And so at any rate, let's get the ball rolling. So we're actually going to start off with Oak Bluffs. And Oak Bluffs was my entryway to Martha's Vineyard. It's where we first rolled in. And, it's where you usually come in the ferry, either there or Vineyard Haven.
Vineyard Haven, yeah.
And many of the scenes that show up there, all through Oak Bluffs, a lot of people associate the majority of it with Edgartown, which definitely was a big bulk of it, but a lot of different places there in Oak Bluffs, particularly if you start up around the top of Oak Bluffs, you get into an area up where you'd see the Brody House. And those of you that have been there know that it doesn't quite look the way it did before. So I try to throw some comparative pictures of movie pictures, up above here between the dock and the house. And then down below, just some newer pictures from my last trip. But that's situated on an area called East Chop, which is an absolutely amazing stretch that goes right up along the northeastern side of the island. It literally faces the water. So, Mike, I'm sure you've been up through there before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of those people like people going by and looking at their house. They've kind of changed it, so it's not harder to pick out. Years ago, my website partner, Mike Gencarelli, and his wife, we went to Amityville, and we found the Amityville Horror House. They had changed the address by like 2 numbers, and they kind of changed a little bit of it, but you could tell it was the house. And it was right before Halloween, and it was surprisingly the only house that wasn't decorated for Halloween. Because if I owned that house, that would be the best house to go to on Halloween. But we drove by and tried to take a couple of pictures, and it didn't come out. So I finally ran up and took like a flash picture. And I remember thinking, you know what? If you're going to own the Amityville Horror House, you got to expect it. So hopefully the Jaws, people that own the Jaws, Little Jaws house, I hope they are as good natured as the Amityville Horror House people are.
I've heard some good things. I've heard some pretty positive things, and even where they actually have let people come into the house. My first time going past, I was on a bike ride, and I was just cruising up East Chop, which is just gorgeous in itself. Not to mention, it's probably one of the smaller homes up that area. I believe it used to nicknamed that Millionaire Row because there's just some incredible estates up through there. And I thought I recognized it less because of the house and more because of the garage. If you look at the outline of the garage and the roof line and the very unique door, even the new version of it, since they've redone it, you can still make it out pretty well. And when you get the side profile of the house and you see the back porch, you definitely know you have it. But right next to it is, well, what was a little shack. I think last time I was there, it looked like it was just about double the size. It's this neat little shack that sits right on the water, and there's a little name plaque. And the only thing that's there, it says Little Jaws. So if you miss the house and you go past and you see the shack, which has that plate on it, you know you've hit the right spot. Very distinctive, very cool place. All right, and we got a couple more messages here. Yep, 6 towns, each one very different. I believe that was Vic, I'm sorry, it was Donna. A lot of truth there. Yeah, every town really has its own personality there, which you find out really quick. And honestly, Oak Bluff's probably my favorite overall town, to be perfectly honest with you. Just very neat, very diverse place. So, and from there, as you work your way down the coast, from that area, once you get in through the town of Oak Bluffs, and you get down like Circuit Avenue and shops and stuff like that, past the park, then you get to that stretch of road which runs you literally from Oak Bluffs down into Edgartown. And when you come down through there, right where the private beaches end and the public beaches start, if you look really close, you walk up as far as you can before you hit the private beach, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner the remnants of the breakaway dock from the breakaway scene. Now that was shot day for night, I believe, like a lot of those scenes.
Yeah.
And I tried to showcase my picture against the picture from the frame because you can see the actual house, at least a different angle, but the actual house in the background to really kind of verify that you're there. And so I do understand that is on part of the private land now, but you can still get a little bit of a glimpse of it. So pretty cool to see.
And if you're quick, you can run and get a piece of it. So I've heard. Yes.
That's one thing I have not done. I try to be very respectful of private land, and I don't know who keeps a scatter gun by the back door. So at any rate, that's got to be Donna's message right there. I grew up in OB, and I know that she grew up in the campgrounds. And by the way, I didn't have any pictures, but for those of you that have been there, I apologize. For those of you have not. So the cottages, the gingerbread cottages, are literally just absolutely amazing. In fact, we often stay in around those when we go there. So, just a neat little. I've got a question here for you. Mike says, "Where was Spielberg's house located on Martha's Vineyard?"
I can't remember Don will probably remember the name of the road. I think the address was 36, if I can remember. But you just kind of walked through Edgartown and you went up this long winding road, and it was just there. It was just there. It was just a cabin that somebody had built and took care of and rented it out. And Donna and Edith Blake helped Dana find it, and Dana set it up.
Very nice.
That's Milos. You definitely need another good shark movie. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, Milos, without a doubt. All right, moving on here, guys. Let's keep the ball rolling. So, as you continue to work your way down, you're eventually going to hit not one but 2 bridges. There's actually the Little Bridge, and then there's the Jaws Bridge, which actually is, I believe, it's the Veterans Memorial Bridge, but due to pop culture, has become the Jaws Bridge. Even when you get on Google Earth now, it actually shows up as the Jaws Bridge. As
a veteran, I will allow it to be called the Jaws Bridge.
And we thank you for your service, sir. Absolutely. And this would be, when I'm there, I typically stay in Oak Bluffs. This is like, a daily walk or run for me. Take a jog out, hit the Jaws Bridge. Usually some guys fishing early morning or fishing the small bridge, and then usually walk the beaches back. And it's just, the bridge has been rebuilt. But, once again, if you look at my pictures there, you can definitely make out where you are. Even the beach line from the original picture, looking up the shoreline during, I guess that would be the Kintner scene there, and comparing it to on the right to just a shoreline picture from last summer. I mean, you can definitely see the resemblance. The cut of the land, break everything that's there.
Yeah. Popular place for fans to jump off of.
Yes, yes. That's one thing I do. I've jumped off every time I've gone. In fact, last year I talked my 78-year-old father-in-law to jump off with me.
I haven't. I was going to do it with my son, and then we didn't. Something else came up, but excuse me, 2025. This then 64-year-old man is going to jump off. So
I'm holding you to that, Mike, because I'll jump with you.
I'm ready.
All right, man. All right. Although I do want to put out there and just mention unfortunately 2 individuals last year tragically passed away jumping the bridge at nighttime.
At night.
Before that they were leaving to go home, which, wow.
So they don't allow you to jump off, but they kind of look the other way. But when you do, make sure there are other people around you. And as soon as you hit that water, swim to the rocks.
Oh, absolutely. And there is a shallow and a deep section too, to be honest with you. And, time of day, tide, everything else. And, I'm just a visitor, but definitely kind of pay attention. And it's good to see that there are other people out there jumping if you haven't done it before, as far as, vertigo and all that good stuff. So someone said, I was scared walking the Jaws Bridge. I truly believe there is a great white shark. I'm not going to tell you I was scared, but when you hit the water and you're working your way up to the surface, you hear the EF, it's ringing in your head. There's no doubt about it. First time. Yeah, absolutely. So ironic there. And then further down from there, you hit a spot. And again, I'm sure I'll get corrected if I'm wrong here, called Bend in the Road. And that's, you're following down the road. On the left side, you'll see literally a bend in the road and just enough section to kind of double up on parking there. And I'm familiar with that because the Amy Island Run Club that I do runs with when I'm there, oftentimes we will start and end there at the bend in the road. That is, to my knowledge, where the actual Chrissy attack scene was shot. Now, not the entire shot, only part of the shot. The rest of it was shot. The opening scenes were shot at Tama at South Beach. But that's where I believe that's where she actually went into the water and then was actually attacked. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get some more people in on here on that.
Great pictures.
Yeah, good. I'll be honest with you, Mike. I could have went on for days posting pictures, and I don't want to bore anyone to death. But every time I go, I see a glimpse. Like it's one thing about this place. You walk there, and you're going down. When you're not expecting it, you go, holy crap. I remember that for the movie. That's a shot. And you stop and you take a picture, and then you go back and then you do the research. And it's pretty awesome. It really is.
Let's see. Milo's asking about swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. How is it? It's Cape Cod. It's a body of water. It's like, I grew up in Florida. It's like, to me, it's the Gulf of Mexico. You always have to be cautious. You have to be cautious in a swimming pool. But don't let any preconceived notions of sharks keep you out of the Atlantic, because it's something to tell tell people. I swam in the Atlantic Ocean or any of the seas or rivers or whatever you got over in Europe. So yes, you'll be fine. Just going up to your knees and maybe fall backwards under the sand and get wet. But yeah.
Exactly right. Yep.
Enjoy.
No doubt about it. Yeah. All right. So moving on here. And then that brings us into good old Edgartown. And Mike, I couldn't find a more fitting place to drop your Beatles-esque picture in there of Emily Road.
Thank you.
I was expecting just a picture of something. That's a great shot.
That is the famous crosswalk right across by the Amity Bank. In 2005, I thought, wow, this would be a great picture because I love the Beatles, I love Jaws. And then in 2007, we took the picture. This is kind of the doctored version. Eddie McCormick, who is the second one. I'm in front. Eddie McCormick behind me. John Hawkes behind him, and bringing up the rear, Jim Beller. So it was kind of like the Abbey Road photo. And Eddie added, he gave me like long hair because it's like I think on Abbey Road album, it's John, Ringo, George, and Paul, if I remember right. But yeah, but I just thought that's so cool that we all love the Beatles and we love Jaws, so let's just do Amity Road.
Very cool. Love that. So the doctored version was the undoctored version. Was that bottle a little more empty?
There was no bottle. There was no bottle. We just kind of got out there. I want to say my son stopped traffic in one direction, and Andrea Fix, then now Loverling, stopped the other side, and we just we wanted to pose like we were on the album, and but so we kind of froze, and they took the picture. And then Eddie just added all the other stuff.
Well, you even got the part where Paul was out of step with everyone else. I like that.
Try to be historically accurate.
And as we work our way through Edgartown, the cool thing about Edgartown is, within just a handful of blocks, and you're not doing a lot of walking, you are hitting so many different opening scenes for the movie. The last time I was there, we took my in-laws with me. They'd always been to the beaches of Delaware and Maryland and thought we'd take them up here. And it was pretty cool because I was walking around with my mother-in-law with my phone, with these scenes on the phone. And we're walking down, the different street, walking down Water Street, walking by, where the police station was and going down through to see where the stairs are, where you see very obvious picture there in the front, where you see the railing going up over the staircase built and then down the other side. The very big old tree. I can't remember the name of the tree that sits down that road. Historic tree. I forget. It's like one of the oldest trees in North America. Working your way down towards the wharf, you head down past what was the Amity Gazette. I'm not even sure what it is now. If it's Jewelers or real estate or what it is, but it's amazing how little so many of these buildings have changed in nearly 50 years. So that pagoda tree, I knew you were going to be my resource tonight. Thank you. Yeah, the pagoda tree. That's what it is. Hopefully she's not yelling at her screen tonight. Get it right. No, but yeah, I mean, it really is. It doesn't get old. Every time I go back and I go walking down, I catch myself doing a little skipping my jump when I'm walking down past the park. Really cool stuff, And as you continue to head down by, I believe, this intersection. So when the town is having their 4th of July parade, which I'm pretty sure wasn't on 4th of July, they come right through this very noticeable intersection, and the building faces or fronts, had that angular cut to them rather than coming to a point. And you can see the picture on the left there matching up with the picture on the right. I believe now that's one of the Black Dog shops, and the other one's just a local Edgartown store, which you can go into as well. I think the paper store is there too. And then kicking around downtown, I don't know, I think it's 3 blocks away, maybe 2 blocks away. The bottom pictures, the center picture is the real obvious scene that you see Brody when he's typing up the report for the coroner after the Chrissy attack. And the building on the left, I believe, is where that was shot. I forget the name of the Pierce House or something like that. It was being renovated last time I was there. Now, the building on the right, if you look closely at that scene, when you're looking through the window right next to Brody, you will see the outline of the church. That church is the building that's on the right, which is across the street from that Pierce building.
And I can't remember, like I said, the shop that it was shot in at the time, but every now and then I've gone in a couple times, and sometimes they let you in and take a picture out the window, and sometimes they don't. And I want to say that's also the same room where they did the coroner scene.
I believe so.
The arm. They just papered the windows so it looked different.
Yeah, I do believe you're right. And I had been looking for that. I thought that was the building and tried to verify for the longest time. And when I went with Donna, we pulled up when we were looking at the building, which was under renovation at the time. And she said, "Now look across the street. What do you see?" And I went, "Damn if I didn't see the molding on the church." Because I looked through that window, I don't know how many times watching Hoovy, and there it is. Yeah, so very cool stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And then skip again, just hopping around through town. I don't have a picture of the Edgartown Bank to be honest. Well, I do. I just was kind of running out of slides to do in Edgartown because there is so many. But how can we go through Edgartown and not get some shots from Amity Town Hall, which is also the Edgartown Hall?
It's fun. You can go in. You can go in the conference room with the blackboard. I don't know if it's the same blackboard. They got a blackboard in there. You can walk down the hall and bump your head on the sign. It's a pretty accommodating island as well to tolerate all of us crazy fans that go by and probably bother them 100 times on a weekend and say, "Is this there? Can I take a picture of this?" So.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I got to say about I should say the majority of the people, all the people that I've met there on the island, definitely are islanders. Extremely accommodating, extremely nice. The only people I've ever met there that were rude, people that were visiting.
Yeah.
And Donna being one of those people as well, too. I mean, just really amazing people. I mean, really, you never hear anyone say anything bad about anything, help you out when you're, first time I was there, we were trying to figure out where to go, what to do for dinner. And I hear a guy from behind my wife and I, who were getting to the point where we're running out of time, we're tired, getting a little stressed, comes at me with a little bit of a Mass accent, and tells us to go to Giordano's and you can get a bottle of wine and 2 plates of pasta for $25. Just out of the blue, it made our evening. And it's the type of people you run into. So.
Kelly House is now called the Faraway Hotel. Aw.
It really has changed hands. Yeah.
That sucks. Maybe they'll put a Kelly House sign back up in 2025. A lot of businesses that had the Amity, whatever their business was, hardware, music stores, put them up in 2025.
That'd be nice. And and the News, which I believe last time I was there, very old pub, I think dates back to the 1700s.
Yes.
Was closed up. I believe they're redoing that.
Victor says I'm the only idiot who totally forgot about the Wharf restaurant. You could have met Jeff Voorhees. You could have had dinner with Alex Kintner.
Oh, man, you missed Alex, I'll tell you. Well, Victor, don't feel like an idiot because the first time we were there, I made a point to go to the Wharf and eat and see him. However, out of respect, when I did see him, I didn't want to walk up and bother him because he was working. So we just sat at the table and looked at him. Yep, that's definitely him. And my wife kept saying, you should go up and say hi. But you know what? The guy's working. He probably gets tired of hearing from us people. And so the first time, everyone went up and talked to him. So
he loves it. He was, I want to say, when we first met him in 2005, and then in 2006, my friend Matt had a CD was coming out. So we did the CD release party at the Wharf, and Matt played there for an hour. And he was a little more receptive. Of course, I brought like 50 people and eat dinner. But in the last 5-6 years, he's really, really embraced Jaws fandom. He sells T-shirts now, and he turned the back of the Wharf. It used to be like the ballroom, the dance room. He's got a nice display of Jaws memorabilia and stuff. So, yeah, stop by and ask for Jeff.
Yeah, he is amazing. We went in. I went in and talked to him the second time I was there, and simply out of the kindness of his heart, signed a book for me, and talked to us a little bit, took some pictures, and then a year later, came out with the blue shirt that has the Alex Kintner on the back, and signed it, autographed, all that good stuff, and sent it to me. Super cool guy. Very cool guy. Someone's saying I want to stay at Donna's house in 2025. This is Vic. Well, Vic, you're going to have to take that up with Donna.
That's
Maybe
right.
She has room for it.
Live in her basement. Live in her basement.
Or we could throw a tent in the yard, right? Oh, that's right. Yeah, Donna. Jeffrey. Yeah, he retired. I thought I read that he had retired.
I did see that. But what is? Donna, you might know this. I never knew. I knew he managed it, but does he own it? Does he uh, I never knew what he did. I never wanted to ask. So what the hell do you do here? But wonder what he's going to do. Maybe he'll go like on a full time Jaws tour. That's my dream, is to win the Powerball and then buy the Island Theater and the buildings next to it and open a Jaws museum. So Jeff could come work for me.
I'd be all about that. I'll do weekends for you. Yeah. So I threw in just a couple images here. Chappie Ferry, obviously, you got to remember that one. And ties to the Chappie Ferry. If I remember, one guest that you guys had on from Jaws 2, who still lives on the island, didn't his family? He wrote the book about the Chappie Ferry. Did his family have ties to that?
Yes, Tom Dunlop, who was Timmy.
Yes.
In Jaws 2, and also snuck on, and you can see him in Jaws. He's an author. He's written a lot of books, but he wrote like the definitive book about Chappie Ferry. And it's interesting. You think, the book's not that interesting, but it is, and he tells some good stories. And I grew up in the '60s, and my parents worshipped the Kennedys, so I was happy to go over there and go over to Chappaquiddick, where Ted Kennedy had his car accident. And I've driven across that bridge, and it's pretty narrow. It's pretty narrow during the day, so I don't fault him for driving off in the middle of the night. But the ferry plays into that story as well, and it's the same ferry. I mean, you're basically on time and going over to Chappaquiddick and coming back. And if you go to Chappaquiddick, you can visit Pippett's grave. So,
that's one thing I tried to find Pippett's grave, and I didn't. We'll do like an afternoon over there and just do bike rides and stuff, and then walk out. Obviously, go over Chappie Bridge and just kind of kick around, hit like the Moy Toy Gardens, stuff like that. And I'm not sure where Pippett's grave is. I've seen pictures of it, but I'll have to ask Donna next time.
Yeah, Donna knows the family. Oh, Jeff was just the manager. Okay. Donna knows the family that owned Pippett, the son, and in 2006, she took us over, and we got to meet the mom, and the mom had like lemonade and cookies for us, and we all went out and stood around Pippett's grave. It was nice. It was nice to, it's something that, a fan, you look, to me, being a fan and doing the small stuff is, any Jaws fan, you can go to Martha's Vineyard, but to take the time and look for Pippett's grave, I think that puts you up a little higher notch of fandom.
So Donna's saying Ito and Bobby Potter have passed away. I would assume those were the parents.
Yes, that's the parents.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a shame. But, we're talking going on 50 years here. So, it's a shame. I did throw a picture in there of Catawba Bay, or Catawba Beach, I'm sorry, down along, I guess it would be South Beach stretch there, from the opening scene where the original Chrissy scene started. And then last time I was there, I rode out and literally drove up and down the entire South Beach looking for what I thought was the right spot. And luckily Donna cued me in, and I hit the right spot there. And little did I know that she actually lived right down there. She's right by, not too far from there. So, yeah, great shot. And that beach gets eroded very badly, and I know they have to come back and work on it, but you still see the resemblance there. So, great. And I got to say, of all the places, the water is seems very calm for the most part, very shallow water. There, when I go there, it reminds me more of beaches down around, like, say, Delaware area, like where I'm from. A little bit more of a drop off, a little bit rougher. And last time I was there, a little bit more great white sightings when I was there.
Oh,
that's where they were. Apparently, that's where we're seeing. If you go down there, there is a large billboard of great whites, and it does not say, watch for great whites. It says they live here. I mean, they're here. So it's interesting to see, fiction coming back around for the real history. So, all right. So just moving on, just while we're in Chappie, there we go, another shot of the ferry. But then at the bottom, obviously, we're talking about the ending scenes. The credit scenes when Hooper and Brody are crawling out there. Happens to be on Chappie, just up from, I believe, from Cape Hogue, which is the lighthouse. So I've never ventured out that far. We wanted to do one of that. You could do like a 4x4 truck ride up there. I know it takes a couple hours. You been up there, Mike?
No, I've not gone up to the far end where the big chimney and all that is. No.
Yeah, I haven't either. I have a 4-wheel drive truck, but I've never driven it in sand. And so, to be honest with you, I don't know how well I trust myself in 3 hours on sand. I've never done before. Chances are it'd be a 7-hour walk home because my truck would be buried up to the axles in sand. So I think I'll go with somebody when I do. So, any right here. All right. And then to come to Menemsha. Very, very cool place. Neat little quaint fishing town, fishing village. And again, you go through Menemsha, Mike, and you're hanging out with Quint. I mean, really, to this day, down to the buildings that are there, the colors that are painted on them. I mean, it's all there except for Quint's shack. So,
yeah. There is a nice little barbecue place right next to where Quint's shack was. So grab a snack while you're there.
Yeah, grab a sandwich. First time we were there was the only day that it had rained. It was pouring rain, and we were in Menemsha, and we wandered into the shack. And if you guys look at the black and white picture, you can see the Quint house, the tallest building. It's that little place just to the right of that one. For the life of me, I'm forgetting the name of the place. But great little place. I went in there and got myself a lobster roll and just kind of peered out to see what was there and wandered around. And that place is so mystic to walk around. And I mean, these are not, pristine boathouses or pleasure boat. These are working boats, working boathouses. I mean, you're talking about salt of the earth, and it really reflected in what you see. So, and Mike, I threw in a picture of you with fascinating rhythm down there, because I'm assuming that's where that picture was taken, probably just right across from the edge of the creek arm there where the Quint shack was, correct?
That was taken in Captain Lynn Murphy's boatyard. We went there in 2006. They had a lot of cool stuff. I got to hold the actual remote that guided the shark, the joystick. They told some great stories. And then when we left, Cap Murphy went in his barn, and all you could hear was like, ooh, ooh. And he came out, and, the Orca 2 used to be beached, and so many people had sought it out and vandalized it and took parts that he brought it back. But he gave each of us a 3x3 piece of the Orca 2. So,
no kidding.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I know that they were selling pieces off, and I know that some were coming with the early commemorative editions of the books.
Yeah.
And I believe they were still selling barrels as well.
Yes, they had barrels. They weren't the barrels on the Orca, but they look like, if you painted them yellow and scuffed them up, they looked like them. They were barrels used for flotation. But yeah, they sold barrels. And Fascinating Rhythm, for those of you who don't know, that is Hooper's little boat. That's the boat that he's on when the kids with the fin go by. If you remember on the beach when Brody's calling out to people, he says, "Fascinating Rhythm, what do you see, Hooper?" And then Hooper answers. So I recognize that. I mean, the name as soon as we got there. So I got to kind of sneak in there among all the other stuff and have a picture taken. So.
And little message there from who was that?
Menemsha Fish Market is the best.
Yeah, Donna. As a matter of fact, Donna, hopefully you recognize the shirt. So when we would go down there, if you guys ever have a chance to catch a sunset, not to sidetrack, honestly, one of the best sunsets I think I've ever seen in my entire life. You go down there, you can go to Menemsha Fish Market, you can go to Larson's, and you call in, and you get like a shore lunch, and you go sit down, take a blanket, sit on the beach, eat your dinner, and watch the sunset. And absolutely amazing. At any rate, when I was there, with Donna, we wandered in and she introduced me to a man. I believe his name was Sam, who was one of the fishermen there. I would assume owner of the shack, and it was real like Quint. So was out. They were fishing. I'm not sure if they were going maybe for tunas or whatever. I want to say maybe swordfish, and a 16-foot great white kept coming in and taking, I believe was their swordfish as they were bringing it in. And so
Oh,
he finally got tired of it and harpooned it. And so there's a picture of him with this gigantic gray white in there, which she showed me when we went in there. And on top of that, he also produces these shirts. So Orca Fishing Charters shirts. It's the only place. I mean, you can get every shirt you can think of on Etsy, on Amazon. This is the only one I've seen like this. He sells them there, and on the back it says, "I'm not talking about pleasure boating or daily sale. I'm talking about sharking for a living."
God, shocking.
That's right. That's right. Donna wore that one for you tonight. So cool
And
stuff.
Victor says that Quinn Shack would have made a great tourist attraction if they kept it on. It would have. For those who don't know the story, they had to build it, film, and then tear it down in a certain amount of time, or they would have owed Universal $100,000 in fines. And the thing is that is still amazing is that 50 years later, almost, that lot is still vacant.
Yeah.
They never built anything on it. And I maybe because it's a small piece of land, and maybe they don't want to build anything on it. And Quinn Shack actually figured into the original concept for Jaws 2, which had a businessman buying the shack and marketing it as Shark World. So, I mean, I don't know if they could have built it up again or they just built it down in Florida, but yeah.
And if you guys look at the picture on the right, on the far right, the bottom obviously is the one from the movie, shot as Orca is leaving. That is taken right from the area, right from where Quinn Shack was. And the only thing that I've ever seen there that I'm probably hoping has any type of symbolism is there is an anchor that sits there, and you can just see the anchor sticking out above the bushes. Every time I see it, I think to myself, somebody put that there because that was the anchor to the Orca, but I could be wrong. So cool stuff.
I'll try to bring that back in 2025 too. Have to rent a big car.
You're not kidding. So it looks like Donna's telling us.
Donna says it's an unbuildable lot. Ah, okay.
I would say it is pretty small, and it looks like they do have like a retaining wall of some sort. Interesting is, Mike, you probably know this, but interview I saw with Joe Alves, not only did they give them a certain amount of time to build it in, but they made them, even though it was a facade, build it to code down to it had to have working electricity and everything, even though they were using it for a couple shots, or they wouldn't let them build it.
Yep.
Yeah. And spacing with the timbers and everything. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know, but Quinn Shack was actually modeled off of the old Sculpin Gallery, which was actually the boathouse build that was right behind the Shackey Ferry. It's still there to this day. It's now an art gallery. You can go
with. Down by the dock where they hang the tiger shark. Yeah. I wonder, Donna, it's unbuildable. I wonder if you could just buy that little piece of land. I would just build a window with a big pair of shark jaws on it and charge people $50 just to come take a picture through the jaws.
So, have somebody dressed up as Orca there, or as Quint there a little bit, you know? Yeah. Have somebody swear at you and yell at you, you know, make you feel at home. And then we ventured down to really right down from Menemcha. And this is going around the southwestern side of the island, which I believe is what they call Up Island, if I'm not mistaken. Then we get into Quina, or also known as Gayhead, and pains me not to put pictures of the cliffs up here. Have you ever been down to the cliffs, Mike?
Yes.
The cliffs are absolutely amazing. If you guys don't know, glacial deposits is what kind of form the island, and there's huge amounts of clay that create these cliffs that resemble every color you can think of, from bright reds to pure white like chalk, to black like obsidian black, shades of yellow, even little bits of like blues and pinks here and there, to like a rusty colored clay. absolutely incredible. And the story behind that with the local Wampanoags, which is where the Quina name came from, was that there was a Native American who lived there. He would go out and he would hunt for whales, and he would bring the whales back and throw them up on the beach, and that's how you got the stains and the reds and the things in the clay. So neat little Native American story. So, and obviously we see the Gayhead Lighthouse there. Top picture from the movie, bottom picture where you see it now. Really, the only difference is they moved it back due to erosion years ago. So it sits in a little further back, but definitely still there. You can go and tour it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
In there,
and on the right, yeah, yeah, on the right, you can't leave there without walking around trying to figure out which rock he sat on. So, and then trying to do your best impression as well. So,
just sit on all of them to be sure.
You sit on all of them, and then you walk around while the other people watching is saying, "I'm familiar with the fact that you're not going to do anything about this, so it splits up and bites you in the ass." And see how many people look at you.
Or if they know what you're doing, they'll give you a little round of applause. Excellent, excellent. Right. And scene. Thank you.
Yep, there you go. Red is from the blood of the whales. That's got to be Donna, our local expert, without a doubt. Yeah, and the billboard, obviously the billboard's not there. Every time I go there, I go and look to see if I can find concrete plugs in the ground from where the billboard was. And the billboard, I'm sure you know, Mike, was literally put up, filmed, and taken down in one day. That was the deal with it, from what I understand.
Very, very particular about their island.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yep. Cooper's Rock is a must. Yeah, absolutely. Gotta find it. Be cool to get Dreyfus back there and have him sit on that rock, wouldn't it? Very cool. So we've been talking about all the scenes of Jaws, and one thing we haven't talked about Bruce himself, Mike, and to kind of slowly kind of wrap things up. Even though you might not see big signs that say Jaws was filmed here and these things around the island, no matter where you go around the island, you get little hints and peeks, and you know that this is where Jaws is from. It shows up in little storefront windows. It shows up on a T-shirt. It shows up in a restaurant. And these are just some pictures that I've taken over my trips. It's just little glimpses of things that you catch. The picture right next to me is from the museum in Vineyard Haven, and if you guys ever go there, Jaws aside, the museum is absolutely amazing. It's just opened a couple of years ago. It's incredible. Has a lot of the, I shouldn't say a lot, has a couple of the original drawings from Al's for the production when they were storyboarding it. Have you been there, Mike?
Yes.
Very impressive. The bottom picture, that little artist picture, was taken from a very small artist studio in Menemsha. I believe it was just up from Menemsha Blues, right next to a lady who had a bookstore just recently closed. And that we just happened to pop in one day and happened to see that little kind of mosaic tile there. And again, it doesn't even say Jaws on it. You just, you're looking through all this beautiful ornate art and hand fabricated things. There you go. Bruce, pops up there.
Can't say Jaws. You're gonna get hit with licensing fees. So
yeah, and walking in Oak Bluffs, you go down in the clothing store there, and you walk in. Lo and behold, they have a great white hanging from the ceiling. Just to let you know, once again, and other little things. One of my favorite restaurants in Edgartown happens to be the Shanty. Like it's right down there at Edgartown, right at the harbor, and there's a parking lot there. And as you're walking up the steps, you see the sign for the Shanty all the way up in the right-hand corner there. It says Claws with the lobster coming up through. So really cool place. And you can sit up top outside, overlook, watch the Chappie Ferry running back and forth, and see ships coming in and out. Great place to go eat. Incredible food. Although I'll be honest with you, I've never had bad meals on the island, so I can't say I've run into any bad places there. So, and the last bottom right hand side, if you don't know, there's a running group on the island. I'm a teacher. I'm also, whether I want to admit it or not, I am a bit of a runner. There's a running group on the island, and it's called the Amity Island Run Club. And I stumbled across them by complete accident. We were gearing up to go over there for our first week trip. I was looking for some places to go run to, and it's a group of teachers from, I believe, mostly the Edgartown schools, and they get together twice a week and do runs, and they hold events and races. And the cool thing is, the majority of what they do is all for charity, for people on the island, for the schools on the island, for the kids on the island. Really an amazing organization. Really, really cool people. They meet every Thursday, I think it's Monday, and then Wednesdays, or was Tuesdays for a while, at Bad Martha's in Edgartown. They'll do a run from Bend in the Road. I know in the wintertime, they run straight through the winter. In the wintertime, they'll meet different places. They used to meet at the news, different spots, but really cool group. And of course, they put the picture on top of everything. I got quite a few pieces of clothes from them. Every time I go, I think I buy something else. So very cool.
Let's see. Michael, was Bar and Jaws 2 and Martha's Vineyard or Destin, Florida? It was in Destin. It was called the Hog's Breath. It was destroyed in a hurricane. They've rebuilt it in a new location. So it's not the original building, but they did save the actual bar, and that bar is in the new place. And it's got a little sign that says Jaws, Jaws 2 filmed here. So yes, so the bar is there if you want to go have a drink. And
the other thing I found, which was a lot of fun the last time, Mike, was that very center picture. If you look really close, that picture that's in Edgartown at the bookstore. And if you look, Mike, your book's sitting on that shelf.
Ah, I do see it.
That's exactly right.
Actually, Tom Dunlop texted me the other day a picture. He says your books are in the place of honor. They're right out at the front as you're walking out. So I said, good. That's another surreal experience to me. Not only that I wrote a book about Jaws 2, and I got to help bring back a book about Jaws, but that they're available on Martha's Vineyard.
Which is, really cool. Along with the Jaws logs. I mean, in fact, last time I was there, I had a copy of the, wasn't the Jaws log. What was the one? It's going to kill me. I have it sitting in my bedroom right now.
Edith's book?
Yes, Edith. Yes, it was Edith's book, Edith Blake's book.
Yeah.
And
the movie Jaws on location.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
On location, Martha's Vineyard. That's right. And I wanted to get a signed copy, and I stopped in to get one. I went in there and I talked to Donna the next night, and she was nice enough. She called down the Edgartown books and had a copy reserved for me and set aside for me. So when I got there, I said, "Hey, came to get this book," and he said, "Oh yeah, you Nate, yeah, Donna put it, told him how to set it aside for you." So yeah, very cool. And once again, just really speaks to the people there.
Yeah.
So. So anyway, I only have one thing left here as we round out the hour, Mike, and I put this last one in just for you, and this is just a personal connection I have, not only with the island, it's a personal connection I have for you, and I want to thank you for it. And so 2 years ago when we were there, this is me sitting on the island, sitting at Inkwell Beach, and I am reading your book, and this was Father's Day. It was my Father's Day gift. We happened to be on the island. So I took the wife down to the beach, and I don't sit still, especially sit on the beach and not do anything. But that day, I managed to hang out for about an hour or two and start diving into your book on Father's Day. So very cool memory I'm going to have for a long time, Mike. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
enjoyed it.
I keep it mixed in there with all the others, with Al's book and Edith's book, and yeah. And you did a forward in the last edition of Edith's book, didn't you?
I did. I wrote an introduction. I edited it because there were a couple mistakes in it, and not her fault, but the original publisher, kept referring. Carl Gottlieb was Carol Gottlieb. And I think because she talks a lot about Carol Fleeger and another Carol. And I think whoever proofread it said, oh, it's supposed to be Carol. And then I got to write a 45-year later chapter and kind of recount everything that's happened ever, since the film came out and since the book was released. And I'm hoping if we get a firm yes for Jaws 50, I'm trying to convince my publisher to do a special 50th anniversary cover just for the event. So that'd be kind of nice.
That would be incredible.
And also, I can't remember the exact name of the page. There's a website, but a couple fans, David Bigelow, John Campopiano, and Jim Beller, put together an online location tour or finder, and you can go there. It's actually mentioned in Edith's book in the chapter, the final chapter I wrote. It's got pictures. It tells you exactly where to go. So if Nate hasn't highlighted somewhere you want to go, or you think, oh, where was that? You can go there and you can find it, and they'll take you to it.
Absolutely. And there is also, there's a page you can get on. Maybe we're talking about the same thing. It's called the Ultimate Jaws Filming Location in Martha's Vineyard. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it might be. Is it online only?
I believe so. Let me see if I might even have it here. I could always post it. I could always post it to the page, but I do have it, and it's interactive. So it has the Google Earth map on the right side, and it has pins, and then it tells you what it is you're looking for, and then you can actually just hit it, and it'll take you there. It's. I was actually thinking about using it tonight, but me still getting used to things, I was a little worried about kind of going back and forth might cause some issues. So.
Yeah, that's fine. And
anyway,
before we sign off, quick rundown on what's going on in the Daily Jaws. And also I wanted to say thank you to everybody who has joined and has apparently told their friends about the Jaws 50 Facebook page. We have gained 700 plus members in less than a month. And it keeps growing. I spoke with the woman that runs the Chamber of Commerce on Martha's Vineyard on Tuesday. Still nothing official from Universal. She's waiting for them to get back to her, but she seems optimistic. And I told her, and the same thing I told you guys tonight. I said, we could bring 500 people without trying. So it would be, I think it would be an amazing benefit to the island. It's probably going to be the last one. People are Jeff Kramer, and thank God he and Richard are still around, and Joe and Carl, but eventually we're all going to be gone. So want to read on the island. That would be fun. Was that Victor? Let me look and see who it was on my phone, because my phone doesn't have the just say Facebook user. But that was Victor. I think Victor suggested that we get a group of people together and just on the island and just do like a table read, a table read of the Jaws script. That would be fun. But everybody want to be, nobody wants to be, you're the old man. You have two lines. Everybody's going to want to be Quint, Hooper, or Brody. So that might be hard unless we just kind of like rotate parts. On the Daily Jaws this week, they have an interview with Kathy Carvinka, who was in Jaws 3D. Rennie Harlan, who directed Deep Blue Sea, is apparently going to do another shark-themed film. Richard Dreyfuss, and he actually mentioned this when he was here in Kansas City, but Richard Dreyfuss is very anti-sequel, except for Stakeout 2, I'm assuming.
Right.
A great article on why there will probably never be a Jaws 5. Also, I have a couple things coming up, and I had a article on Bruce the Musical that I thought was going to be hasn't been posted yet, so look out for that. And like I said, visit the Daily Jaws every day, because every day there's something new.
Yeah, the guy's amazing. The content he can pull out day by day that doesn't repeat itself is I don't know how he does that.
And it's all fresh. It's not regurgitated stuff. Oh, you write about that last year, yeah.
Very cool stuff. All right, we got one or two more comments here before we wrap things up. What do we got here? Next week, Return of the Jedi. Yes.
May 25th. Next week, I'm back in the day. May 25th is also the release date of Star Wars. It's going to be an all Star Wars themed show. I have reached out to Patrick Reed Johnson, who directed the film 5/25/77. See if he wants to appear. I haven't heard back from him yet. I'll probably do a quick review of the film during the show. But it's Star Wars Central next Thursday. So put on your robes, bring your lightsaber, and leave Jar Jar behind. No Jar. It's a no Jar Jar zone.
I'm all about that. I might have to break out some of the old toys too.
Well, I've got to put the basement back together because we finally got the bathroom retiled. But I'm going to break out a couple things that you might go, ooh, and as I'm sure you will with your toys.
Oh, I'm excited about it, Mike. Yeah, very very much so. Not too many men my age or older who want to sit and talk Star Wars with me, especially toys. So it's good.
It's going to be fun.
All right. Well, guys, hey, thank you very much, everybody, for coming tonight. Donna, thanks for coming in and giving us some facts. And as always, all you guys that come and show up, Sonia, Vic, all our regulars.
Paul, dear Donna.
Yes.
Yeah, we got so wrapped up we didn't just say Miss Jones, Jenny.
Yeah.
That's all. She was looking forward to the 50th.
She is, absolutely.
Well, good, because otherwise she's going to be lonely because you're going to be there.
Might maybe permanently, right? One-way ferry pass. It's cheaper that way,
We can all live in Donna's basement. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nick and Michael. Thank you very much, guys. And Joe's Army, again, thanks for a great night. Fins up.
Fins up,
we'll see you guys next time. Bring the lightsabers.
There you go.
All right. Have a good one.
Good night.